Today we're going to discuss how to get the most out of your story openings, so stick around. By the way, my name is Brandon McNulty. I'm the author of Bad Parts, also the author of Entry Wounds, and welcome to my writing channel. One of my subscribers requested a video on efficient story openings, or in other words, opening scenes that introduce several important aspects of a story. And when he was requesting this video, he mentioned the movie Back to the Future, so we're going to be talking about that today. That's one of our key examples. And we're also going to be talking about the movie Groundhog Day as well. So we'll be focusing on them once we get to the later parts of the video. But for right now, I want to start by talking about some important story aspects that you might want to include in your opening scene. The first of these is characterization, and this is very important, and this is when you show a character's personality through things like action, dialogue, appearance, etc. Another thing you might want to focus on is plot, the sequence of events in a story. You might want to hint at the plot in your opening scene. You can also focus on setting, the when and where, or you can focus on things like world building and lore. Another thing that people often forget about, tone at the very beginning of the story. You might want to signal, is your story going to be serious? Is it going to be funny? Is it going to be something in the middle there? Other things you might focus on are things like the story's concept, the story's themes, and the story's genre. Alright, now let's take a look at Back to the Future. And if you've been dead for the past 40 years, you've never heard of this movie, it's about Marty McFly, this high school guy. He gets sent back in time as the result of some wacky science experiment. Gets sent back in time to when his parents were kids, and he has to find a way to get back to the future, back to his present day. And Back to the Future opens up with a very efficient opening scene. Right off the bat, we are shown ticking clocks, and this hints at the story genre, which is a time travel story. We get this right off the bat. There's no doubt about it. There's going to be time as a major factor in this story. Then, as the opening scene goes along, we get to see Doc's lab, and this is not just setting and world-building details here, but it's also characterization through setting. We don't actually see the Doc in this opening scene, but we get to see how he arranges his workspace, what kind of things populate his workspace. He has inventions here, and some of these inventions don't work, some of them do. And this tells us that he's kind of a wild card. Some of the things he does, they're going to work out fine. Some things are going to just, crash and burn. So this is going to hint at things that are to come in the story, and it's going to tell us a lot about Doc right up front. We also get to see a TV news report in this opening scene. It mentions stolen plutonium. That's going to factor into the main plot. Shortly after that, Marty McFly arrives. He's our main character. We see him open the door to Doc's office, and then he puts the key back under the mat. That tells us that Marty and Doc have a friendship. They trust one another enough that Doc allows him to come and go as he pleases in this lab. Then we learn a little bit about Marty. We learn that he's a skateboarder. He likes to play guitar. He likes his music very loud. He hooks his guitar up to this sound system in Doc's lab, and he plays it so loud that he gets blown across the room. And right here, this particular moment helps set the tone of the story. We know that this story is not going to take itself too seriously. It's going to have fun. And then right after this happens, Marty gets a phone call. It's Doc. Doc says, hey, can you meet me at the mall at 1:15 in the morning? And this is a signal of the main plot. We know what's going to happen a little later on in the story. We're not going to get there just yet, but it is hinting at the main plot that is to come. And then finally, this opening scene wraps up with Marty realizing that he's late for school. He finds out that all the clocks in Doc's lab are 25 minutes slow, and this is going to play into the concept of the story. A lot of the concept has to do with Marty being in the wrong place in time. Now let's take a look at the movie Groundhog Day. And this one is, of course, about a weatherman who is caught in this time loop. He's repeating the same day over and over and over again, and he can't get out. And right off the bat, in the opening scene of this story, we get to see Phil the weatherman, and he is characterized as this funny yet grumpy weatherman. And that also helps set the tone because he gives a pretty humorous weather report. He starts making some jokes in the middle of it. We get the sense that this is going to be a comedy type of story right up front. And he also establishes the setting of the story during his weather report by mentioning a cold front that is coming toward Pittsburgh. That's where it initially takes place. And another thing to keep in mind with this, he's also establishing the main plot here. He says that tomorrow's Groundhog Day and I will be going to Punxsutawney. That is a hint at the plot that is yet to come. And then after his weather segment is over, there's a hint at the story's concept, a hint at that time loop that is going to happen later on. And it's very subtle. It's probably something you wouldn't notice unless you've actually seen the movie before, but early on we get this mention of the concept in the form of a little dialogue exchange where Phil is sitting with the main news anchor. They're having a little chit-chatting after his segment, and the news anchor, she starts asking about his trip to Punxsutawney, and she says, "This is your third year in a row, isn't it, Phil?" And then Phil responds, "4, Nan, 4." That is a hint at that time loop and how he's going to keep reliving the same day over and over and over again. And then finally, this opening scene wraps up by showing us Phil's main character flaw, and it's that he's a jerk who's dismissive of the people around him. He treats his coworkers like garbage. He doesn't take them seriously. And right before we wrap things up here at the very end of this scene, we get a hint at the romantic subplot that is yet to come. We are shown Andy McDowell's character. We see that Bill Murray's character isn't too enthused about spending time with her, but we do get a sense that there's going to be some kind of romantic tension going on between the two of them. And that helps hint at the genre of the story, which is, of course, a romantic comedy. So I hope this helps. Question of the day: what is your favorite movie, and does it have an efficient opening scene? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to support the channel, please pick up a copy of either one of my novels. Also, be sure to check out my other videos. Hit the like and subscribe buttons for me. Share this video with a friend. And as always, remember to keep on writing.